Hey there, this is Rising, and the VTOL Jet from Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2 is now here in COD Mobile. And today I wanted to take a quick look on it and share my personal opinions on whether you should be running this or not. And I'm also going to compare it with the closest streak that is available in the game, which is the Stealth Chopper. And diving right into the basics, both of these are considered to be mid to high level score streaks, and each of them require a base score of 1080 to earn, which is roughly 10 to 11 gun kills without hardline, and with hardline you'll need roughly 8 to 9 gun kills. As for their active duration, this is the amount of time that they are actually on the map and lethal. For the Stealth Chopper, this is 40 seconds, while for the VTOL Jet, it is quite less at 27 seconds. But having said that, there is a little bit of difference in the amount of time it takes for these streaks to actually get onto the map and become lethal. Now keep in mind, this value can potentially vary a little bit from map to map, but I tested both of these in the same map, which is Nuketown, and the Stealth Chopper takes a flat 5 seconds to enter the map and become active, whereas for the VTOL Jet, it is quite unique in this regard, because once you activate it, you have to mark a location on the map where it performs an initial missile barrage, and after that barrage, it takes a certain amount of time to come to that marked position, and then functions similar to the Stealth Chopper. And you can even signal it to guard your location, and it will follow you and kill enemies that are around that zone. But unfortunately, the time it takes to become active after the barrage is performed is extremely long at 20 seconds. And in Call of Duty terms, that much delay will literally result in a win or lose scenario in majority of the times. I really wish if they work on this particular aspect in the not too distant future, because even though the jet arrives to your position quite quickly, it will take a noticeable amount of time before it becomes lethal. And if timed properly, the enemy will be destroying the jet before it becomes active, and it will result in a total waste of a high-end score streak.
And as I mentioned, it will be active only for 27 seconds, which is far less compared to the Stealth Chopper at 40 seconds. However, that initial barrage is quite lethal. It has a radius of roughly 10 to 13 meters, although Trophy System will be destroying that missile if placed within that radius. So there's a lot of ways you can counter this streak, some of which I will be sharing in a minute. But now let's have a look on their lethality. And the Stealth Chopper will take 3 shots to kill an enemy at full HP, while the VTOL Jet will take 4 shots to kill. However, one thing to note here is that the Stealth Chopper won't start firing as soon as it arrives. It will take some time to find an enemy and then start shooting at them, and once the enemy's dead, it'll aim for the next target and start shooting after a certain amount of time. And unfortunately, these times are not exactly measurable, as the AI logic for the Stealth Chopper is totally randomized. But all you need to know is that the chopper will take some time before it picks up a target and starts firing at it, whereas with the VTOL Jet, the AI logic is actually very strong. It will start firing the moment it is active, and once the enemy is killed, it will move to the next target quite fast. As you can see, I have deployed the jet right here in the middle of shipment, and it is picking up targets significantly faster than what you saw with the Stealth Chopper. So the AI logic for the VTOL Jet is much stronger than the chopper, and you will actually notice that in-game once you use this streak. Next, I want to have a look on their durability, how strong they last, or how hard it is for the enemies to take them down. And here I also want to discuss the most efficient ways to take these streaks down. And for the Stealth Chopper, it's going to take 3 rockets from the FHJ-18, while for the VTOL Jet, it takes only 2. And I just also wanted to test against bullet damage to see how effective are your guns against these if you don't have a launcher in your secondary. And with the PKM, it's going to take you 115 bullets to take down a full health Stealth Chopper, while for the VTOL Jet, it's going to take you 65 bullets, which is a little more than half the number of bullets you need for the chopper. However, the most efficient way to take down the chopper is with the Man of War thermite rounds, and with this you only need 12 bullets to destroy a Stealth Chopper, which is ridiculously fast compared to the 115 rounds from the PKM. However, for some reason, the thermite rounds don't seem to work on the VTOL Jet at all. You won't be seeing any afterburn hit marker whatsoever, and the thermite rounds are completely useless against that. So the best way to take these out is with either a launcher or an LMG that has roughly 65 to 70 bullets left in the mag.
But that wraps up with every statistical data you need to know about the VTOL Jet. And now I want to share a few of my miscellaneous results that I got during my testing.
The first and the most important thing you need to know is that cold-blooded does not grant you protection against the VTOL jet. As you can see here, I have cold-blooded in my loadout, but the moment I go outside cover, it starts shooting at me. So overhead cover is going to be a very important factor you need to consider when an enemy jet is online. And it also makes it very difficult to destroy because regardless of you having cold-blooded or not, it will start firing at you as soon as it picks you as the target and will quickly move on to the next since its AI logic is much stronger. Now, I'm not entirely sure why it is not affected by the perk, even though it behaves like an automatic streak. What I suspect is that the game doesn't consider it to be a fully automated streak because you get the ability to signal it and guard your position, making it function like one of those manual streaks. Logically, it doesn't make a lot of sense, as you're not the one who is firing the artillery inside, you're just commanding it to come and hover over your place, but it's just following what has been coded in the files, and we can't do anything about it. The next thing I wanted to mention is that apart from the initial missile barrage, none of the later shots will do collateral damage. Similar to the stealth chopper, it just locks on to a single enemy and has no chance of doing any splash damage. And just like all the airborne streaks, you cannot call another when a similar one is already active. And SAM turret and EMP systems will be destroying the jet as usual.
Enemy EMP systems incoming. Be careful. Our VTOL jet has been taken down.
And that's pretty much everything I felt was worth testing with this new streak. And when it comes to my thoughts, I think lethality-wise, it's really powerful, especially due to its strong AI logic of spotting enemies in quick succession. However, I think that the time it requires to become active after its initial barrage is extremely long. Like 20 seconds can literally be a win or loss in objective-based game modes, like Hardpoint for instance. And compared to the stealth chopper, it can be destroyed much easily due to its low HP. Although you get the added benefit of an initial missile barrage that could be very efficient in clearing out choke points that don't have overhead cover, and you also get the ability of commanding it to guard your location, although that's not something which can be really practical in larger maps, because this moves quite slow from position to the next. So if you get some kills on one side of the map and it's quite a large map, then you need to go all the way to the other side because the spawn's flipped. That's going to cut into a pretty good portion of its total active duration. And in many cases, it'll run out of its active duration before you even command to move on to a different position.
So considering the high score cost to earn one of these, you really need to be very precise on what purpose you want to call it in, whether it's just to defend a choke point or whether you're rushing to their base while you want the jet to give you overhead cover in that process. So with all of those combined, it's going to be heavily dependent on the user, because personally, I just tend to lean toward fire and forget sort of streaks, where you just call it in and keep your gun up. This streak definitely falls into that category, but I do think there are a few cheaper options like the lightning strike or the orbital laser for instance, which may not function the way the VTOL jet is meant to work, but they are much more helpful in those objective-based game modes, where you can count on them very effectively without bothering about the risk when you use them. The VTOL jet is certainly not a bad streak by any means. It has got its specific uses, but again, it's highly dependent on the user how they want to implement it. And now, with all of that being said, I'm curious to know what you guys think about the VTOL jet. Do you think it's quite helpful in certain scenarios and can really be a game changer in most matches? Or you think it's on the weaker side and needs some adjustments to it? Let me know all of those in the comments down below. If you're new around here and want further breakdowns, make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.